Coming up, the Big Ten softball tournament is set.
And later, we give our final top 5 plays of the week.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to DITV Sports in the Zone. I'm Brady Bear.
And I'm Colin Crithers. We're going to break down everything that happened over the weekend in Hawkeye sports.
Let's get things rolling here with baseball right out of the gate, Colin. Let's get rolling right now for their trip out west where they took on the Washington Huskies here in the Big Ten series here. This is game one right out the start here. Rocky start for the Hawkeyes in this series. They struck out 15 times here in game one. Just could not get those bats rolling. Left 7 runners on the board. Iowa may have taken an early lead, but Washington, they fought back with this sac fly out there to tie the game at 3, bringing a runner home. And they'd wrap things up at the end of the game with a bunt here, which would bring home a runner. Suicide squeeze there brings home that runner for a walk-off bunt to get the dub in game one.
Yeah, tough loss for Iowa there in game one, Brady, but looking forward to game two. Iowa trying to salvage this series and a little bit of deja vu. 15 strikeouts in game one, but 11 more at the plate in game two. And then anytime they try to gain any momentum offensively, it was squandered like this opportunity here, trying to bring that runner in from third, but gunned out by the shortstop there, keeping it all tied at 1. And the bottom of the 9th inning, Washington with 1 runner on, blast one to left center field. It's a 2-run homer for another walk-off win. Back-to-back walk-offs to win the series in day 2.
Now, Colin, game 3, the Hawkeyes looking to avoid the sweep here. Finally turns things around with this Ben Wilmez home run over the wall and into the water there. Puts the Hawkeyes up early in this one. I would follow that up with a Caleb Wolf single here. Let's take a look at that. Boom, right there. Knocks that one up the middle. Brings home a runner there on that one to give the Hawkeyes extend that lead just a little bit. We're coming back. We'll come back to Ben Wilmez here out in left field. Watch this diving catch. Boom, snagging that one. Robbing Washington of a hit there to help the Hawkeyes get the 8-0 shutout.
Well, then on the softball side of things, in game 1 on Friday, they were playing Rutgers, number 6 in the Big Ten, and number 17 in the Big Ten is Devin Simon starting things off with a 3-run homer, getting them on the board and taking that lead, but Rutgers put this game in jeopardy, tying things up at 3 a little bit later. But it was the defense that kept things going. You see Avery Jackson, the third baseman, charging in on that bunt attempt, making the play, and she will continue later with another one there, getting the lead runner and helping as Iowa would eventually walk things off in the bottom of the 7th for a 3 win.
Now we're hitting up game 2. This is senior night. Destiny Rivera throws out the runner at second there, looking to get the stolen base. Following that up right here with a shot out to left field to bring home Jenna Young, make it a 2-0 ball game here for the Hawkeyes. That was against Ella Harrison. That's Rutgers' ace pitcher here in game 2. Destiny Rivera, she's back up with an RBI single out to left field as well. Just one batter later, 3-0. Ball game there. Talia Trent was in the circle for this one. She pitched a complete game with a shutout that included 8 strikeouts.
Well, then in game 3, Iowa looking for the sweep in their final weekend of action. May the 4th be with you, and she forced that one all the way out there for a double, bringing in 2 more runs. Sujin Berry in huge fashion there as Iowa would complete the sweep with a 4-0 victory over the Scarlet Knights.
Colin, we're coming down the stretch of the school year. We're coming down the stretch of the season for these two teams.
I know. It feels like everything is that much more intense right there. Good for Iowa in the softball side to get that sweep, but on the baseball side, a little bit shaky. Not sure how that changes things up for them.
That's a good point, Colin. That's why we've got DITV's Joel Keller live in the studio with us to help us break down where teams stand in the standings. Joel, let's start with baseball here. How are things looking?
Baseball is looking really good for Iowa. They had the opportunity over the weekend to get a little more separation between UCLA and Oregon, because UCLA, they went 1-2 against USC, but those 2 games they lost against Washington really hurt them. They still got that 2.5-game lead over UCLA and a big series against Oregon coming up in 2 weeks, so they could clinch it and possibly in that first game on Thursday, probably more likely a Friday, Saturday clinch. But Iowa's looking really good for baseball, set up in a prime position.
All right, now let's take a look at softball. Joel, my understanding here, we've got a bracket to show us. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, finally, we're back to brackets. It's been a while since March with basketball. We've got Iowa in the 6th spot. No one thought they'd even make it in here at the beginning of the season, but here they are. And they got Penn State. They played them earlier this year. They beat them 3-0. So they might be able to replicate that performance, but if they get to Northwestern, that's going to be a tougher game. They haven't seen Northwestern this season, and Northwestern just played a really good series against UCLA, one that also not a lot of people thought they'd win that one, but they were able to pull it out. So Iowa's got a tough journey, but they've got the grit that they've shown all season to get the job done.
Bit of a hot streak after a turbulent start to the season. Joel, thank you so much for that breakdown. Now, Colin, with this being the last episode of In the Zone, you know what that means?
You got to tell me, what does that mean, Brady?
It means we've got one last top 5 plays of the week. So let's get things rolling here with our top 5 plays over the weekend. Let's start things off. Number 5, Iowa softball versus Rutgers. This is game 1 here. Rutgers with this bunt here. Ooh, snagged by third baseman Avery Jackson. She flew in from third to catch that one. Let's see that again. Woo, wow, what a play there.
Well, then number 4, Iowa baseball, we talked about over in the Pacific Northwest playing Washington. This one blasted out the right center field, and it doesn't necessarily clear the fence immediately, but bounces over, so it's a ground rule double for Jason Frost.
Play number 3, softball again. Game 3, Destiny Rivera. Catcher throws the runner out at second. We saw this a little bit earlier. Absolutely phenomenal play there. That's her Big Ten leading 14th runner caught stealing of the year. Just what a heads-up play.
And now number 2, let's go back to Iowa baseball again. Still in game 3, Ben Wilmus, a 0-0 score, and a little bit deeper into this contest, had to send one out himself, a solo home run to get the runs kicked off there. It was an 8-0 victory for them out there against Washington, and he's getting things started. And I just got to say, in that game, that's 40 guys having fun right there.
Absolutely, Colin. Now we got our top play coming up. This is softball once again, Iowa City. Devin Simon's 3-run homer here, blast straight out to center field. Watch out, Cam Bus, it's coming over the wall. That gives Iowa a 2-run lead in the second inning. Let's see this one more time. That bus better get moving as you see that ball flying over the wall. She'd later have a walk-off for the Rutgers. Big game here for her to help the Hawkeyes get the win.
Brady took a lot of notice of that Cam Bus there. Is any exact reason for that?
No comment, no comment. I got to drive one of those things or anything. Absolutely, Colin. You got to watch out for my fellow drivers.
Do you have one later? I'm hopping on that bus. I'm hopping on that bus later.
Right past the field, absolutely. But Colin, that was not all the action in Hawkeye sports. There's still some other things going on. We've got DITV's Sydney Goldberg in the newsroom to help us break down some of the other action that happened over the weekend.
Yeah, guys, the Iowa track and field team leaped into the history books this weekend with a couple new school records. Maria Arboldola jumped 1.88 meters in the high jump to break the previous Hawkeye record and move into 5th in the NCAA. Ryan Johnson continued his strong season with a new school and facility record in the hammer throw with a 73.58 meter toss. Overall, the Hawks came away with 18 event wins during the meet and will finish their season next weekend in Ames at the Iowa State Classic. The Iowa tennis team's stay in Georgia ended early as the Hawks lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament to number 29 Georgia Tech. Nikita Vishwase's single appearance represented the lone Hawkeye game win in the 4-1 loss, which at the time tied the match at 1-1. But the Hawks dropped the next 3 games, each down to the wire to close out their season. And while the men's golf season is over, a couple Hawkeyes competed in a tournament over the weekend. Junior Greg Messingham and sophomore Max Joda placed first in the Iowa Golf Association's 4-ball championship. The event took place at the Finkbine Golf Course on Friday, with Messingham and Toja shooting 16 under par to secure the win by a 2-stroke margin. That's a look at the rest of the weekend in Hawkeye sports, so back to you guys.
Absolutely tons of action there for the Hawkeyes. Couple record breakers on the track team as well. Great weekend for the Hawks.
And you guys say that's a really impressive weekend. I can barely run from my bed to my fridge sometimes, so that in itself is one of the most impressive things I could see.
Absolutely, absolutely record breakers, and just throwing things too in the hammer throw. Awesome stuff from the Hawkeyes there.
None of that stuff is in my wheelhouse of things to do, so I always am shocked to see what they're doing out there.
Absolutely, Colin. Well, thank you guys for tuning into DITV Sports in the Zone all semester long. It's been an absolute blast to put on this new show together here at DITV with Colin and the rest of the team. For Joel Keller, I'm Brady Barron.
And for Sydney Goldberg, I'm Colin Crothers. We'll be back in a few months, but until then, stay in the zone.